a story leaked last week that with the clickbaity headline, "Is Disney bad at Star Wars and analysis?" And I'll show you what I did. I was on X, oddly enough, because I put out, people know I put this out many times. Whenever there's something interesting about Star Wars, I'll tweet out that turning Star Wars from a boy brand into a girl brand will prove to be the costliest decision in movie history. I still believe that. And I'm quoting Variety's story from the Hollywood Reporter. Let me correct myself. Alan, do you not have the link?
I have it.
Yeah, if you would bring that up. But all I said, and I tweeted out the first time meme, which I love. But if you could bring that story up, Alan.
Yeah, I have it. It's
good.
Yeah,
thank you.
I'm just saying, I'm pretty sure Hollywood Reporter lost a lot of friends as a result of this article.
Well, what I don't like about this story, if it's a very clickbaity headline, it's a very they've lost the audience. But I mean, part of the reason, before we get into the story, did you know that a major movie is coming out later this month starring Daisy Ridley? We have a screener for it. We will review it later this month. It's called Magpie. Remember, Alan?
Yes, I've seen the title.
So, does anyone care about this movie, Magpie? I don't think anyone does. So, what I'm saying is, I don't think the Daisy Ridley Star Wars movie is going to happen. She has literally had no traction in her career. She's been in movies that we have covered. They are small indie movies that barely perform or get noticed at the box office. And there's one coming up this month, Magpie. Look it up. They sent Alan and I a screener, and we will review it. But let's get into this story, Alan. Go ahead if you would.
Okay, high budget scrap projects, fan backlash. It's been 12 years since Disney bought Star Wars, and its galaxy far, far away arguably has too many broken toys. There's an exchange in Star Wars The Force Awakens where Finn and Rey are fleeing from stormtroopers and searching for a way to escape. Rey spots that legendary Millennium Falcon, declares it looks like garbage, and then quickly reconsiders the garbage will do. Increasingly, there's the attitude that some fans have with Disney's Star Wars programming. Look, we all know this isn't fantastic anymore, but Star Wars is still Star Wars, and therefore it will do. To be fair, Disney Star Wars shows and movies remain far from space junk. Their titles typically get glowing reviews from critics, box office returns, and streaming ratings that other studios would envy, though at a high cost. So let's run through Disney Star Wars legacy to date, from The Force Awakens to The Acolyte, and to see what conclusions might be drawn, because several aspects of the company track record looks admittedly shaky. A 5-film franchise that was halted after its box office returns trended the wrong direction. 6 live-action television shows, just one of which has been a multi-season hit. A startling number of projects put into development, then abandoned, like starships on Braca, and one wildly ambitious...
Can you pause for a sec?
Yeah.
I don't even get that reference.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a Star Wars planet on Braca? Oh my God. This writer is trying to get some cred with the new Disney audience. Braca, you know what? I don't know what that is. Please continue.
It was probably from the original series. And one wildly ambitious role-play hotel that closed after a little more than a year. It raises the question, is Disney kind of bad at Star Wars? Or is it a case where a very high bar for success combined with a passionate fandom's gripes tend to obscure what is otherwise a hugely popular and lucrative franchise? Let's take a closer look. The films, let the past die, kill it if you have to.
Now that line when that was really a meta comment in The Last Jedi. It was a meta comment about what we want Star Wars to be, and or what supposedly most fans wanted. So, yeah, I mean, like, look, it's so weird how that can come up and be quotable, but it's not quotable in a good way. You know, it's one of the few quotable lines from the sequel trilogy, but it's not a quotable, it's not a complimentary quote. Continue, Alan, if you would. Thanks. And we're going to get to your comments and questions.
Okay, after buying Lucasfilm from George Lucas in 2012, Disney relaunched Star Wars as a franchise trilogy in 2015 with director J.J. Abrams, The Force Awakens. The film was an absolute blockbuster, yet surprisingly, and as it turned out, problematically, the studio did not have a firm creative plan for the next two films, at least not one that was followed. Rian Johnson's 2017 sequel, The Last Jedi, took the story in a different direction that many loved and many didn't. Then Abrams returned to 2019's The Rise of Skywalker and tried to push a narrative closer to the original intentions. Comedians learn in improv class to always say yes and to an idea introduced during the show, no matter how challenging. The studio and Abrams' reaction to The Last Jedi was more like, no, actually, Rey is a nobody. No, she's a Palpatine. The result was a trilogy that was a mishmash of dueling creative visions. Lucas took a similar, I'm making this up as I go along approach to the original trilogy, but it's far easier to maintain a saga's cohesion when all the films are led by the same person. Do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I mean, the one thing, look, I'm not going to sit here and say Star Wars under Lucas was perfect all the time and it was the bestest ever. I'm not going to say that, but wow, how the prequel films have aged well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what anyone says. And your personal opinion, I hated the prequels. That's okay. There's a generation that love them, like Ryan Kinnell or Star Wars Theory, and there are things that are quotable, and there are lightsaber battles that are amazing. There's more good in the prequels than bad. The good outweighs the bad, no matter how you slice it. I'm sorry. And the prequels has its own group of fans. So will the Star Wars sequels, once they're, a decade behind us, they're about to be, The Force Awakens next year will be a decade old. Is there going to be nostalgia for the sequels? I think what most people think about the sequels is they lament what could have been.
Mm-hmm.
They lament, and I'll bring it up for maybe the gajillionth time. Why did you not reunite Han, Luke, and Leia in even one scene? That did not happen. That would have been an iconic moment. And it's the biggest missed opportunity in Midway history. What those movies, if it was like Picard season 3, get the old band back together, introduce new characters. You've got legacy characters given their moments to shine. What they did was they unceremoniously assassinated the characters, a legacy character in each film. Han, then Luke, then Leia, to the point where we don't care. I don't know if you want to comment. I like to get more into the story too.
Yeah, I'll just quickly say I remember when the news that they were developing the prequels came out, and they were so adamant about getting J.J. Abrams to be part of it.
You mean the sequels? You said
the sequels.
Yeah.
Okay. They were so adamant about getting JJ, and I remember him, all these quotes of him, because he was doing Star Trek at the time, of saying he didn't want to do both franchises and that he didn't necessarily have the passion for Star Wars. He wanted to be a fan for it.
No. Let me correct you.
Yeah.
He did what was a decent and fun Star Trek movie, whatever you think of it.
The first one, yeah.
Star Trek 2009 was fun. Mm-hmm. But in all the press, he said, I was never really a Star Trek fan. I was more of a Star Wars guy. He was auditioning he was not just auditioning, he was lobbying to be the person to do a new Star Wars movie. And at the time, because of that first Star Trek movie, I actually thought it was a good choice. In the end, he was a bad choice all along.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't really understand the essence, and Star Trek is what it is today. People, I mean, it's a hobbled or irrelevant franchise now.
Yeah, I mean, in hindsight, it was quickly put together and poorly planned.
Right.
And and we're suffering for it. Sadly, the Force Awakens, it was going to make $1 billion regardless of what they put up there. They could have put the Acolyte up there, and it would have made $1 billion.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. I'll continue. The film's box office also told a story. At the time when Disney's Marvel movies kept breaking new ticket sales records, Force made extraordinary $2 billion worldwide. Jedi dropped sharply, large 1.3 billion. Then Skywalker made 1 billion, which is still 1 billion. These are incredible numbers for any film, but they are going the wrong way. When the third entry in your trilogy, launching a new franchise, sells half as many tickets as the first, you probably made a wrong turn somewhere. Around the same time, the studio experimented with 2 standalone titles. There was the 2016 gorgeous-looking and compelling and widely uneven Rogue One, earning $1 billion, and 2018's wildly panned Solo, which made it disastrous for the franchise, $393 million. The film's reputation has not improved since it was released. Both had behind-the-scenes drama and reshoots that saw the original director being replaced during filming. Was that true for Solo? I mean, sorry, for Rogue One?
Yeah, that's true. Yes, Gareth Edwards was replaced. Now, he stood by the project, but he was replaced, and they reworked. Literally, the first trailer for Rogue One, none of those shots are in the movie. Cut to the end, because we have a very... I want to get the final thoughts on this thing, because I want to hear what you think.
Okay, when you say the end...
Well, like they basically try to justify saying the premise of this story is that Disney is not bad at Star Wars.
Okay, so I have it here.
It's clickbaity, trying to, I got to read this. And then they're trying to basically go against the premise of the headline.
Okay, so here it is. Is Disney bad at Star Wars? On balance, no. Disney gave Star Wars fans what they wanted for decades. A lot more Star Wars from different visionary filmmakers, and some of it has been terrific. Okay. A dormant franchise that once followed a single dynastic storyline has exploded into a more diverse galaxy of characters and stories. Even the off-the-line sequel trilogy has sequences within each film that are arguably stunning. From its narrative flaws, the Rise of Skywalker farewell scene between Han Solo and Kylo Ren is as moving as anything in the canon.
Oh my God. That's assuming a lot.
Oh my God.
Okay, if you want to put that in a review, fair statement. To put that in a story that is described as analysis is I wouldn't have done it. You are putting a personal opinion in there, trying to compare it to that's BS. I call BS on that comment.
Yeah, because I barely remember. Okay, and then when they kissed, and shows like The Mandalorian, Andor, and Rebels clear even the highest bar a hardcore fan might reasonably set. On a lot of the online uproar is a sign audience. A lot of the online uproar is a sign audience are, I don't, at least still very engaged and care about this franchise. A truer sign of failure would be apathy and disinterest. I swear to God. I mean, the online uproar, the television series, Andor, Mandalorian, I mean, I even didn't go through it, and I'm a big Star Wars. I just didn't find it interesting.
season 3, I dipped out. And let me just say this for me, and we'll wrap this up and get to comments. The Rise of Skywalker, the 9th film, the final film in the so-called retroactively renaming it the Skywalker saga, so they can get away from the reason that there are Star Wars fans, which is Han, Luke, and Leia. The reason to get away from that 9th film is the only film I have seen once in a theater and never again. Every other Star Wars movie that came out, I saw multiple times. Probably Empire and the first Empire in Star Wars, I saw that probably 20 times in a theater as a kid, going week after week to go see it, seeing it in re-release. Even the prequels, I saw each movie many times. A lot of that was because the experience of seeing those movies was I remember not liking it, but I remember having so much fun seeing it with other fans that I went back multiple times. So, but I think that says something. This article is it's bait and switch.
Do you want to read this last part where?
Yeah, read the last part. And we'll go to comments.
Okay, here we go. But here's another question. Could Disney be better at Star Wars? Clearly, yes. The company's live-action movies and TV efforts, on average, could and should be better. In 2018, Disney CEO Bob Iger admitted the company made a mistake with Star Wars, making a movie a little too much too fast. After Iger temporarily left the company in 2020, Disney really made the same error again on the TV side. Lucas famously instructed his actors to be faster and more intense, but that doesn't typically work as a franchise strategy, as Marvel has discovered as well. It's unclear if Star Wars requires more order or less, more Empire-like corporate oversight, or more rebellion-like creative chaos. But it's long seemed like there's somehow too much of both, which has resulted in a master plan that's consistently being rewritten and content that sometimes feels undercooked and clunky. It's not the fault of fans that they increasingly have a bad feeling about this. Any criticism from the sidelines, however, should be tempered with one final point. Making a successful Star Wars project is really hard. Marvel movies, with their iconic stable of heroes who can be portrayed by different actors, are arguably easier. Lucas created a thing and made 6 live-action movies over several decades, and only his first 2 were widely considered excellent by critics and fans alike. Many younger fans adored his prequels, though they never were much loved by critics. There's also what makes making more content so tempting. The original Star Wars and The Empire Strikes Back are profoundly amazing and so captivated generations of fans and have launched literally thousands of products and generated billions in direct and ancillary revenue. In 1981, Lucas changed the title of his first Star Wars from Star Wars to A New Hope, and the name is apt. It's literally what's fueled studio executives, creatives, and fans ever since. Each time another Star Wars title opens with rousing fanfare, a scroll, and a starfield, all of us get that feeling, A New Hope, over and over again.
Yeah, I look, this is very clickbaity, but they can have their cake and eat it too. They're basically defending Lucasfilm, under Kathleen Kennedy, and then they're defending it, but they get you in with like, oh, finally they're admitting it's bad. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean this article just confounds me.
Well,
is Disney bad at Star Wars? No. No, it is bad at Star Wars.
Yeah. That's what the article. Obviously, there's an agenda behind this, which is to defend Lucasfilm to the people who don't like it. Final thoughts before we go to comments, because there are a lot. We'll get to them.
Yeah, I mean the answer is simple. Lucas Star Wars had one vision, one head, and that was George Lucas.
Right.
Disney now is a committee. Kathleen Kennedy doesn't have a vision for Star Wars, and she shouldn't. She's a studio head. She should have a vision for how to make Star Wars, but she doesn't have a creative team that has. There's no one at Disney that has one focus as to say, this is what Star Wars is. This is what Star Wars means to people, and these are the stories to tell that continue what Star Wars really means.
Well, breaking news! Look what's coming to Disney Plus. I am all about the story of 2 new gay characters in Star Wars, a rogue pilot and a pirate mercenary that fall in love with a bunch of furries, coming to Disney Plus. I'm sure that
you could have it wrong.
This is real.
No, the story is, it's like My Two Dads. These 2 gay Jedi come together, and they commit to one another and to raise a family of Ewok.
Well, you see from the first picture that's been released of this show, what's the title, Alan? What's the title?
Oh, Star Wars Home Alone.
Right. Obviously, this is a joke. Shout out to MK Solid for giving us. He makes my eyes burn daily, and I love it. I love him for it.
He fills my notifications daily.
Yeah, so full, so filled.